Christian Castellanos, and we're here with Edward Chang. And I just want to start off with a quick overview of yourself, like where you were born and where you were raised.
Sure. I was born and raised here in California. Um, Pretty much San Jose resident all my life, so the fact that I'm at San Jose State is kind of convenient. Yeah. Don't know what else to say about that.
No, that's perfect answer, man. That's awesome. Bay Area native. I'm
Yeah,
glad to
pretty
hear
much.
you. Yeah, I was born in San Francisco and raised in the Bay Area as well. So awesome to have a Bay Area native here. So do you consider yourself more of a casual or like a dedicated gamer?
Um, I guess I'm pretty hardcore just because like what I do on the side kind of feeds into gaming in general. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't call myself a casual. Nah, I spend too much time gaming.
That's awesome. So you're dedicated to the game. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you do on the side that relates to gaming?
Um, so I don't know if you know. So basically, I'm part of the game dev club here at school. So we make games, and I'm actually the president of that club. So pretty dedicated towards actually at least trying to make games as a hobby. I play a lot of what's it called, it's like esports games or just competitive games, but obviously that's not the type of stuff we shoot for. So yeah, I definitely dedicate maybe too much time towards game related stuff.
Dude, that's awesome. That's very impressive. That create your own games. That's really cool. What are you working on? Any cool projects right now that you're excited about? Or?
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully we can share it soon. But yeah, we're always working on different projects. I don't know how much I can actually share about it right now, but
Oh, no worries, no worries. I
yeah, like
just
a multiplayer game, I guess I'll say that.
okay, cool, awesome, awesome. So, in your when you play for yourself, what style of video games are you really interested in?
I play a lot of anything made by Riot Games, so like League of Legends, TFT. I alluded to it earlier, but yeah, I play a lot of like competitive games. So I've played a lot of like Overwatch in the past, StarCraft, CS:GO for a time, and like Valorant. So I'm all over the place, I guess.
That's awesome. And would you say like your favorites are kind of more like story games, creative games, esports?
Competitive games for sure. Yeah. I usually prefer playing like what's it called, multiplayer games, just because there's kind of a social aspect to it that you can kind of connect with people. Especially during COVID, obviously, that it's nice to be able to interact with people in a um, kind of a more what's it called, like hands-on way. It's not like you're just like in a call just talking to people. When you're playing a game, you can just be like in a call doing something, but like interacting with people still. So really nice in COVID, especially.
Oh, I bet. I bet. Yeah, interacting with other players, I'm sure it gives you that connection to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. I honestly, I don't know. I could never play like the single player games, because like I get that interacting with the story is kind of good and immersive, but for me personally, I enjoy being able to like talk or actually kind of meet different people through video games.
That's talk shit to people.
Sometimes, only if they do it first, though. I do play a lot of like competitive games, so honestly, I can't like deny that that part exists. But usually, it's like if you're in a team with people, you can kind of have like a good time. Not really talk shit to your teammates, at least.
Totally, totally. Yeah, the trash talking is always gives it.
Yeah, it's part of it for sure.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, how often do you play video games?
When I have time, really. I mean, there's not much else to do in COVID, right? Like, you can't
Totally.
go outside or anything, so usually it's pretty often, I guess.
Would you say like every day?
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then since COVID, have you like increased your video game play?
Uh, Definitely,
Yeah.
because we can't go outside. So like before COVID, I would usually hang out a lot at school, just because I'm a commuter. So like usually, if I take a bus or something, I go to school. I'm there all day. Um, so obviously can't do that now. And so there's so much accessibility to basically just video games as your main form of entertainment. So for sure, I'm playing it a lot more these days.
Yeah, I mean, totally makes sense too.
Yeah,
Would
pretty
you
much.
say, as a percentage, how much do you think it's increased?
Um, I guess like a pretty decent percent.
Like,
I don't really maybe like 50% more, I guess. Just because it replaces things that I would have done otherwise, like I don't know, going hiking or just doing anything outside, watching movies. Like that's all basically just gaming now or some facet of it because that's the only way I can interact with people.
that's awesome. And now, interacting with people, do you usually use the video games to interact with your like close friends?
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. And so, you guys are kind of connecting all the time through video games, as
Yeah.
opposed to like outside. Is that
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool that you're able to connect with your friends, and especially during COVID when we all have to social distance and stuff. It's really cool that you can be able, to interact with your friends on a deeper level.
Yeah. It's and you can kind of see like a lot of people who don't play games too, like they're gravitating to it. I think for me personally, I already played a lot of games, so it's not like a huge difference, but you can kind of see like culturally there's a lot of people who maybe don't have that background and now this is the main way that they're keeping their relationships with people is by like playing games together, because obviously we can't all go out play like bowling or something or like go out to a bar and drink together like that stuff doesn't fly right now. So um, you'd probably see better representation of people gravitating towards gaming from like a different dynamic or a different demographic. I mean, because obviously I play a lot in the first place, but now I could definitely say the people I do interact with now are changing because those people are less gamer focused, or at least some of them are. Um, but it's the only way they can interact with people now. So it's interesting to see that.
Yeah, so you're meeting a more diverse demographic of people through
Mm-hmm.
gaming. That's awesome, man. Um, which games do you think help you stay connected more? Or like, what are some of your favorite games to play to connect with people?
Um, I think just me personally, I play a lot of League of Legends, so I usually play that with like my close friends.
Uh,
Um, but if it's people that maybe I don't interact with on a day-to-day basis, like they're not like again, they don't have that gamer background, then there's like a lot of casual games that a lot of people are playing these days, which is like Scriblio, like Among Us, Jackbox games, like all these really social casual games. Um, since they have such a approachable like tag on them, it's easy to kind of let people who don't actually like know how to be hardcore gamers kind of like still interact with people. So all over the place, yeah.
that's awesome, man. So League of Legends is your go-to. That's Sounds great.
Yeah. When it's not toxic, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Sounds like you're becoming a legend yourself. Um, so, do you think? during this pandemic, you used video games more as a coping method, deal with all the stress about this whole pandemic?
Sure. It's a good distraction sometimes if you feel like you've been indoors too much. You can just like do something that requires your full attention for a bit.
For sure, for sure. And you would say your interest in video games has progressed more during the pandemic, of course, right?
Um, Probably the same for me personally, just because I'm already pretty invested in like video games.
Got
Um,
you.
but yeah, there's probably, people in general probably playing it a lot more because you can see people like if your grandma is talking about Among Us, then you already know that there's like a significant difference in the demographic. Um, but obviously, me personally, that's not the case.
That's pretty funny. Your grandma's talking about Among Us now.
Yeah, I've heard stories about people and like just people you wouldn't expect talking about these type of things now. You got politicians on it, so it's like it's very different now.
That's awesome. So you say your interest has probably stayed the same because you're already super interested and invested, but
Yeah.
the the demographic of diversity of people, the interest has increased during the pandemic, you'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, would you say you've gotten more serious with competitive video games, or streaming and like playing tournaments and stuff like that during the pandemic?
Uh,
Play tournaments?
Not really. Well, I don't play in them, but I help out in that scene a little.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't say like specifically because of COVID, like that my interest in that has increased at all. Um,
Mhm.
Maybe for other people, I'm not really sure.
Okay, cool, cool. But you still like you like to play in tournaments and get really competitive with your gaming. Is that correct?
I like to support it.
Oh, okay. So you don't really partake in the tournaments. You just like to support the tournaments.
Yeah, every once in a while. Like we have like SJSU in general, we actually are blessed with a pretty active esports team.
Oh, wow.
So like I don't know if you know, but like our Valorant team is really good. So I like to support that when I see it happen because I think it's rare to have like a good esports program in a college, and we just so happen to be in that position.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Has the tournaments kind of increased since COVID? Have there been like more and more tournaments, or is it kind of just the same?
I mean, in general, the tournaments have been increasing,
Uh,
but I don't know if that's specifically because of COVID. It could be just because people are forced to care more, but I don't really know if that there's a direct relationship between that. Just because, again, I think if specifically because of COVID, you're gaming more, that may not directly translate to an interest in like competitive gaming. And like I said earlier, people are mostly gravitating towards like Among Us or Jackbox games because they're like casual. And I think the casual setting is kind of where people who wouldn't normally play games is kind of like more gravitating towards.
that's awesome, man. Cool. Yeah, I think it's really good for people to, get their mind off this whole pandemic. So
Yeah.
that now, as far as like your goals with gaming, where do you see yourself in the future with gaming? Or is it kind of just strictly gonna be a hobby for you? Do you see yourself going into like professional gaming or anything like that?
Uh, Me personally, like I said earlier, I'm like pretty invested in the game development club. So
Okay.
not gaming specifically, but more like, actually game making.
Oh, wow.
But obviously that's not one, that's just me. So it's not going to be your normal person or anything like that.
That's awesome. So your goals would be like to develop a game that Yeah, it becomes mainstream and a bunch of people play.
Maybe, hopefully, successful in some degree.
That's awesome. So you want to definitely have gaming be kind of part of your professional life. Hopefully, if you can get paid for it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome, man. Well, I think you're on the right path, for sure. Now, coming to the end of the interview now. So, do you see video games as beneficial? And would you recommend others to engage with video games during the pandemic? And do you have any tips or recommendations for people to play right now?
Um, yeah, in general, gaming is a good outlet. I think especially if you're kind of like a more introverted person, that if you interact with people in a more um, interactive way, then it's generally cuts off some of the edge from like the whole like social anxiety factor. Because when you interact with someone in a game, you're you're not just talking to them, you're actually like doing things with them, and sometimes you can kind of forget that you're actually like socializing with people because you're interacting with them as well. Um, so that really only heightens because of COVID, because obviously more people are forced to actually take those steps. And in general, like that's the good thing about gaming, that like there's a social aspect to it. Um, that's just me speaking personally. I also know that like if you're really into single player games, then there's like a self discovery kind of form to it. That if you're interacting with like a story or a narrative, there's a sense of immersion to it, and maybe there's like tropes that you're interacting with as well. Ultimately, everything is about like self discovery and being able to see what you enjoy, and gaming is a great way to kind of outlet yourself into figuring out those things. Kind of the same as, or doing or watching a movie or anything. It's just that you are reacting to a medium. And as long as you don't take it too far, like, you're procrastinating homework doing it, or, not studying, uh, gaming can be a healthy outlet. And, during COVID, it's just even more so, just because less people have access to the things that maybe normally they would want to do, like again, bowling or hiking or something like that. And so it's just a good alternative right now.
Definitely, man. Thank you for that. That's an incredible answer. And you're right. I think people definitely have found a lot of benefits in gaming and connecting with people. And like you said, the whole social aspect of gaming really helps to connect people. Um, Now, last question. Any tips or recommendations for people to play right now?
Um, I guess just don't be shy about it. If you're playing games with people online, like on Discord or something, just don't just play the game and be muted. You really actually interact with people. Um, I think it's kind of like if you're not used to it, like interacting with people online, it can kind of start really awkward, but just don't be shy, and I don't think anyone will mind you, is kind of at least what I would say. And don't be afraid to be bad at a game, because there are a lot of like casual games, like
Yeah,
Scribbly if you're really good at drawing, or Jackbox if you think your jokes are like really funny or something. I don't know. Or even Among Us with all of the media around it, that at this point I feel like everyone, including your grandma again, could probably understand how to play that game. So there's a lot of ways to get involved. So just don't be afraid to do so.
cool, man. Well, thank you so much. And this is the end of the interview. If you have any comments or thoughts that you want to, I don't know, say to people watching this, right now's your chance. But if not, I want to thank you so much.
I think we're good here. Yeah. Thanks for having me, and I hope whatever you guys are doing with this goes well.
Yeah, man. It was an absolute pleasure, and it sounds like you're doing some amazing things for the San Jose Game Development Club. And yeah, I'm sure everyone appreciates what you're doing in the gaming community. And we appreciate you for your very insightful thoughts and this interview.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.